Have you ever been in a situation where you know you should be crying, but nothing happens? The tears just won't come. Well, today we're going to get into that feeling and unpack the powerful psychological reason why some of us just can't cry, even when we really want to.
This quote just hits you right away, doesn't it? It challenges this idea a lot of us grew up with, that you have to be the stoic one, the strong one, but it makes you wonder, what if all that stoicism isn't strength at all? What if it's really just a sign of being completely and utterly exhausted?
If you've ever found yourself saying those exact words, "I just can't cry," then this is for you. We're about to dive deep into the mechanics behind why those tears feel locked away, even when a part of you knows they need to come out.
Okay, so first things first, let's just completely break down this myth. The inability to cry has very little to do with being tough. It's actually all about a protective shield your brain built, probably a very long time ago, for a very good reason.
Psychologists have a name for this, of course. It's called emotional suppression. And what's absolutely crucial to get here is that this isn't a conscious choice. It's not you saying, "I'm not going to feel this." It's an automatic, lightning-fast defense mechanism your brain switched on because it learned a simple rule. Showing emotion is not safe. But there's a catch. There's always a catch, right? What happens long-term when you keep following that rule? Well, those emotions you push down, they don't just disappear into thin air. They get stored away. And the silent cost of keeping them in storage is way higher than you might think.
Yeah, your mind isn't like a computer where you can just drag a file to the trash and empty it. Think of it more like a storage unit. Every single feeling you swallow gets shoved into a box and packed away, and it takes up so much mental and emotional energy to keep it all locked up. And eventually, that storage unit starts to overflow. The pressure has to escape somehow, and it usually leaks out sideways. It shows up as that constant, low-level stress, or maybe those random bursts of anger that seem to come from nowhere. Or it could be anxiety, or just a general feeling of being numb to everything.
And this creates this incredibly lonely situation. To everyone on the outside, you look like the calmest, most in-control person in the room. You've got it all together. But on the inside, you're weathering a constant storm of feeling overwhelmed and just alone with your thoughts.
And the price gets even steeper, because it turns out you can't just selectively numb your feelings. The same mechanism you use to block out all the sadness and the pain, it also blocks out the joy. It's a phenomenon called emotional blunting, and it's what makes life start to feel like it's in black and white, just duller and heavier.
So, how in the world does this whole defense system get built? It's so important to remember this is not some kind of character flaw. It's a survival strategy, one you were trained to use without even knowing it was happening.
Exactly. Maybe you grew up in a home where you were told, "Stop being so dramatic," or "Boys don't cry." Or maybe you were in a situation where showing pain just invited more criticism or punishment. Whatever it was, your brain learned a very powerful lesson about how to protect itself. From your brain's perspective, the logic is actually pretty simple and flawless. Step 1, you tried showing you were in pain. Step 2, that vulnerability just brought you more pain. So the brain created a new rule. Step 3, don't react. And what was the goal? It wasn't happiness or thriving. The goal, step 4, was simple. Just survive. And that rule gets hardwired into your nervous system. It's not a conscious thought anymore. It becomes a reflex. Your brain literally perceives the act of crying as a threat, like a fire alarm going off, and it hits the emergency brake, shutting the whole system down before a single tear can fall. So this leads us to the big question, right? If bottling it all up isn't actually strength, then what is? To figure that out, we have to completely redefine what being strong even means. This right here, this is the massive shift in thinking. Society teaches us that strength is being a fortress, holding it all in. But the psychological truth? Real strength is the ability to feel it all, the hurt, the grief, the sadness, and let it move through you without letting it destroy you.
We have got to unlearn this idea that crying is a loss of control. Biologically, it's the total opposite. It's your body's natural, built-in system for regulating intense emotion. It's a pressure release valve designed to keep you from exploding.
And this is just straight-up biology. When you cry emotional tears, you are literally flushing stress hormones like cortisol out of your body. It's a physical detox. Crying also activates the part of your nervous system that calms you down. So when you stop yourself from crying, you are actively denying your body one of its most powerful tools for healing itself.
Okay, and this brings us to the most hopeful part of this whole thing. If this sounds like you, if you can't cry, I need you to hear this. You are not broken. This is a learned coping mechanism, and anything that has been learned can be unlearned.
But the way forward probably isn't what you think it is. Trying to force yourself to cry, that's just another form of pressure. And honestly, that pressure is what caused this whole problem to begin with.
No, the real first step is totally internal. It's quieter. It starts the moment you stop telling yourself to get over it, or that you're being too sensitive. It begins with simply giving yourself permission to feel whatever it is you're feeling, without judgment.
So how do you even begin? We're not talking about some big, dramatic breakdown. It's about taking tiny, safe steps. Try just admitting a feeling out loud to yourself in an empty room. Wow, that really hurt. Or write it down in a journal where no one will see it. Each small act starts to retrain your brain, showing it that maybe, just maybe, it's safe to feel again.
And remember, the goal here isn't to become someone who cries at the drop of a hat. Not at all. The goal is to become someone who isn't afraid of their own feelings anymore. It's about emotional honesty, not creating drama.
And that really brings it all full circle, back to our idea of strength. It turns out the strongest people aren't the ones who build the highest walls. They're the ones who are brave enough to feel what's happening on their side of the wall and trust that they can handle it.
So I'll just leave you with that question to think about. For years, maybe your whole life, the goal has been to be tougher, to hold it in better. But what if that was never the answer? What would it look like, just for a day, to try being a little bit kinder to yourself instead?